learning. So again, let's take the example of anger. But it could be jealousy, hatred, pride, any of the others. If you have a negative emotion that you want to change, what do? How do you change it? So His Holiness says, the first thing that you need to do is study it. Not say immediately, I'm angry, I don't like it. Not like that. You actually study the anger. So how does the anger arise? When does it arise? In relation to whom does it arise? Take as long as you like, but keep studying your anger and the destructive effects of your anger or any other negative emotion. I'll put in brackets, any other negative emotion. Study it, learn about it, as if you're going to university and you have to take a degree. Right? So you're going to get a PhD in anger. We're going to give you a PhD. So if you're going to get a PhD, you can't just do 1 or 2 days work and then, okay, that's enough. You need to study the problem enough so that you get this strong feeling, this is what must be changed. And that will take you to the next level. Okay? Then the next level is conviction. If you didn't study enough, you won't reach conviction. This must be changed. You'll be a bit do you know wishy-washy? In English we say wishy-washy, a bit grey. Not black, not white, not yes, not no. In the middle, a bit wishy-washy. So you'll say, yeah, I suppose I should do something about my anger, but mañana, mañana. You know, thank goodness for mañana, mañana. So it's that sense of, but not today. It's not important enough. It's not urgent enough. So learning is extremely important to get you to the point of conviction. Yes, I must do something about this. Then the third one, once you've got that conviction, I must. The third one is then determination. And the catchphrase for this one should be, never give up. Because you've learned so much about the first one, about the problem. You know it's destructive. You know it's harmful. Why would you give up? If you have conviction, and you've now said, I've got determination, I must do something about this, why would you give up? Doesn't make sense. So then, I think you haven't moved from the first one. You have to go back to the first one. If you've done the first one really well, it moves you to the second one, automatically. You know what worries me? Is that we think about, let's take another example, say hatred. I really don't like that person, and if I get the chance, I'll do something to harm them. You know, that type of thinking. So, I've got that type of thinking, and I'm thinking in that way, and then I start to study it. So what's the harm in it? Does it harm me? Does it harm others? So I'm really studying it, but I don't study it enough. Within an hour, I think, oh, that's enough, yeah. I can see that's not very good. I should give it up. It's a little bit like the 31st of December when we make the list. I really must exercise every day. You know, I'm going to drop 10 kilos and I'm going to do this and it's outrageous, exaggerated, you know, too much. too much. So you write on the list, I'm giving up chocolate, alcohol, cigarettes, everything, you know. And then you go back to work, 2nd or 3rd of January or whatever, the caca hits you, you know, you went back to work and you went, but you were smiling and you put your head, you know, like, isn't it? You know, ah! And it goes, I think, I need some chocolate. And I'm taking up smoking again. And you find once you've broken one promise, the rest go bum, 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 bum. You know? So it's in order to keep, not the promise, but the feeling. I must change. Not because anybody asks you to, not because it's good for anybody else necessarily, but it's good for me. I mean, the thing about anger, look at it physiologically. You know, what does it do to you? The heart problem, the kidney problem, the liver problem, etc. Physiologically, it's more damaging than cholesterol. It kills more people than cholesterol and heart attacks. Worldwide. So anger is a bigger cause of death than cholesterol and heart attacks put together. Once you start getting this sort of scientific information, you think, oh my goodness, I must do something about this. But don't go too quickly to the second one unless you've got that strong conviction, I must. You know? And then the determination, I will not give up. So once you've decided I'm going to change it, why would I give up? Because I'm giving up on myself. And I'm giving up on others. That's important, right? For some people, the greater motivation is, I'm giving up on myself. For others, the greater motivation is, I would be giving up on others, my family, my friends. So decide what your motivator is and keep reminding yourself of why you're doing it. I was thinking I would go with the feeling of it, because I think if you intellectualize this too much, then you're not going to move. You know, there needs to be a feeling. And I think that through the learning, the feeling that arises is, I don't want this anymore. So in this case, it's a healthy aversion to the negative. We usually talk about desire, aversion, anger in negative ways. You know, anger can be positive in the way that you see the environment being desecrated, being destructed. And you get really upset and you say, I must do something about this. You know? But if you stay angry, then you'll have confused actions. So anger can be an energy that can be transformed into something positive. Aversion can be an energy that transforms into, I must remove this from my mind. Desire can be an energy that moves you to improve yourself. I want to be much better. You know? So you use desire in order to move you in a more positive direction. So you know, when we're talking about positive and negative, it's very general. Because we're saying, well, this is positive and this is negative. But in actual fact, you can then take any of the negatives and turn them back into positive. So I think what we do need is this strong feeling, enough is enough. Whereas, I think if you haven't got to that point, you're tolerating the negative. You're tolerating it. It's okay for it to be hanging around, you know? It can hang around. Because I haven't got to the point where I dislike it enough to say, it must go. And that's when you move to conviction. It really must go. And I'm going to do something about it. And I'm determined that day after day after day, I will do something about this. Not on a short-term basis, on a long-term basis. There's no goal. You know, there's no within 6 months, within 1 year. The goal is the beneficial result, which would be patience or compassion or love or whatever it is. That's the determinant whether you're successful or not. But don't give it a time limit. Just say, I'm going to go on until I've achieved something positive. Okay? Okay, so what we're talking about is we've found the delusion, the afflictive emotion, the habit that needs to be changed, and then we're studying it, we're learning about it. No time frame. Not a day, a week, a month, a year, but you study it as long as you need until you reach conviction. This is not me. This is not what I want. So you have a sense of aversion, but it's a healthy aversion. I don't want it anymore. This must be removed. Then that brings you to the third one. I need determination. I really must think not to give up, because very easily we give up on ourselves. Very easily we say, it's too hard. I give up, right? So don't give up, because you saw the benefits through the learning process. You saw the benefits. You were not only looking at the negative, but you were looking at the positive. So if I give up this, I can develop this. All right? So it's not just one-sided. You do need to know the benefits. If I have tolerance, if I have patience, if I have love, and I don't have anger, irritability, intolerance, what would that be like? I think we can just explore that, isn't it? Just in your mind, you can think, so what would that be like? Imagine my daughter or my son said something really irritating, and this time I didn't get angry. I didn't get irritable. How would it feel? You know? What would the communication be like? Imagine at work, I've got this really difficult boss who's very egotistical. I mean, actually, this is my situation. Anyway, I'm at work and I've got this very difficult boss who's very egotistical and very difficult to work for, changes the schedule without even telling me. And that sort of person, and you want to be angry, and usually you would have been angry, but this time you choose not to be angry. How would it make you feel? Wouldn't you feel more under control? Wouldn't you feel more that you're being yourself, who you want to be? The nature of your own mind, the clarity of the mind, the openness, the wisdom of the mind. Wouldn't you want to be that one rather than the negative one? Just think about it. You know, this is what we call contemplation meditation. So there's thinking, contemplation, meditation. Each one goes deeper. In the learning, the thinking, you're at one level. But then you can contemplate. You don't need the finger, but you can, it's that sort of, so if I did that, how would that be? And da-da-da, da-da-da. And you're just letting it run through your mind in a sort of daydreaming way. And then meditation is, you go into it much more deeply. And I often talk about the flight simulator, where you try it out in the meditation rather than in real life. We need to try it out. Because if you don't, you try it out there, and you find that you fail. You need to practice in the flight simulator, which is the meditation. You try it out, you try it out, you try it out, until you have conviction, I can do this. And then, number 4, we come to action. This directly relates to this one. Action and learning. They relate. What are you going to do in opposition to the negative that you've found? What will you do? So again, a bit of research is necessary, because it may not be evident in the very beginning what's the appropriate antidote? For instance, it could be something simple like jealousy. Jealousy towards somebody you're working with who's getting promoted and you're not. Jealousy towards a sibling, somebody in the family who gets the sports car and you always wanted the sports car. You know, or. You know, there's so many causes of jealousy. So then, how are you going to behave? Do you want to stay with the jealousy, or do you want to oppose the jealousy? If you want to oppose it, then you need to rejoice. So rejoicing is thinking how incredible it is that you're experiencing that. How wonderful for you. Instead of, but what about me? Right? Can you recognize where jealousy takes you to? It brings you back to yourself, small. But what about me? Not considering the happiness of the other, not being happy that they have advantages and benefits, not thinking like that, but thinking, but what about me? So, the action in response to number 1, number 4 is an analytical meditation in order to reduce the negative and in order to improve the positive. So in this case, you'd be meditating on the problems with jealousy. You can visualize yourself in the situation. You can see how you feel, see what you say, how you feel. You can really go into it in the meditation, and then you could change it within the meditation. But seeing all this negativity, actually it's not the way I want to be. It's not the way I want to behave. So now, what I want to be, and then you visualize the person that you want to be. The mind believes it to be the same. Whether you visualize it or do it, the mind believes it to be true, to be real. So if you're visualizing somebody that you're usually jealous towards, and you behave in the right way, the positive way, the mind believes that you're doing it. As if that person is real, but it's just a visualization. So this is why visualizations are so powerful and so good for us, because it means the mind is believing it. It makes this possible. How do you reach the point where change is possible? You have to keep working with it in your mind. Otherwise we go out and, we try to change, and then because of causes and conditions, we try to change, but something bad happens, we respond badly. We're back to where we started. But you practice on the cushion. So action is, it could be mindfulness meditations, it could be analytical meditations, it could be visualizations, something appropriate to number 1. And then the last one is effort. Number 5, effort. Also in relation to number 1, the effort has to be as powerful and as strong as number 1, the negativity. If you've got a very strong negative emotion and you're just putting a little bit of effort in, it's not going to change very quickly. So if you've got very powerful anger, the effort that you put in needs to be strong enough and consistent enough to change the negative emotion. So think about that. If it's a mild anger, a mild jealousy, then in relation to the mildness, you could do something less, softer. But if you've got very strong anger, then the effort that you make needs to be very strong and over a long period of time, because you've got the accumulated habit of responding with anger. Like I said before, you're gathering the seeds together, and so the response is there waiting. in order to change the habit, we need to have the same patience, tolerance, day after day after day. That means you'll be 84. Well, I hope you have a very long life. Isn't it? You know, start praying for a long life. I think what happens is, in the beginning, because of the strength of the negative, you have to start pushing the boulder, the rock, up the hill. It's like that. So you're pushing the boulder up, and then you wedge a stick or a rock underneath to hold it, because you've gone as far as you can go. So also in this, it's the power of rest. You should have a rest. I usually tell people, if you're working on something like this, take 6 days a week and take a day off. You know, because otherwise you think, oh, 7 days, day after day after day, it's too much. We need a break. So take a day off, rest. But, the big but, put it into action. You know? If you have an anger problem, take somebody that you have minor anger towards, irritability, take them out for lunch. And just test. How's it going? Am I improving? Am I doing well? You know? This is my object. So I think in this effort, you're pushing the boulder up the hill, but at some point, you know, you reach the top and then it starts rolling down. You get an impetus, some sort of momentum going, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. It's to overcome the strong imprints that you've developed over time. But it's not that because you've been angry for 42 years, you've got to be patient for 42 years. It doesn't work like that. In fact, if you think of when you do positive actions, how strong is your motivation? Often think about when you're in Asia and you're giving, you know, do you think, take 5 rupees, take 10 rupees, or do you just sort of go, take it? Do you look at the person, or do you just take it, you know, or throw it? Many people just throw it. Don't even look. So how strong is your motivation when you're doing a positive action? How strong is your motivation during the action? How strong is your dedication in the sense of being egoless and giving away the positive energy? Now, contrast that with your feeling, your motivation, when you're upset with your enemy. You want to hurt your enemy, right? So you're plotting against them to do something bad at work, for instance. So your motivation is very strong, the action is done very well, and the dedication is, I hope you really suffer. You know? So when you're negative, the action is done very strongly with motivation, action, dedication. And when we're doing a positive action, don't even think about it. A little bit embarrassed. So that's why, in order to change the balance very quickly, start working with MAD, motivation, action, dedication. You'll find that within a short period of time, it starts becoming easier and easier, because you're really thinking about, why am I doing it? Yeah? I think this is my way of switching your mind quite quickly. I don't think we have 42 years, or 20 years, or 10 years, or 5 years. I don't think we have it. I think we have today.